everyone. Yes, today I have all 5 of the new Chanel cream to powder blushes. How long have you been waiting for these? Like forever. These are the cream to powder blush. They are considered intense. So I think that's a really interesting word that they've put on top of the packaging here. The Jus Contrast Intense Cream to Powder Blush. Like I said, there are 5 shades in here. Each one of them is 0.28 ounces and 18-month shelf life. I do believe that there are different ingredients in each one. I don't think they're exactly the same, but I'll be honest, I haven't checked every single one of them. I do not believe that there is talc in here, and I think they have replaced the talc with synthetic fluorapite. That's not right, but the point is, I think that's what they have replaced it with. Because of that, you will have more of a luminescent finish. Talc is going to create more of a matte finish. So I'm just looking to see if I am correct in that statement. Yeah, I don't see any. I'm going to sum up really quickly the new blushes. I'm going to show you each shade on my face, and then I'm going to do a very comprehensive swatch comparison and talk a little bit about the old formula, the really old formula, the new formula, and then these. I'm going to try to keep it as brief as possible. So first, the formula. It is creamy. It's a creamy feel, but it is not creamy in the sense like the pots from Chanel. These are like really a cream product, okay? These are truly a cream glossy product. On your lips, they go on your face, and you can see when you touch it, see that glossy kind of finish? Because it is literally a cream pot. These are not like that. These are reminiscent of the Giorgio Armani blushes that were discontinued, that I loved more than anything. These that have a unique texture where they dent. You can kind of dent them, and the minute that you put it on your finger, it really turns into a powder once you get it on the skin. They are very similar to that. Extraordinarily so. I'm gonna cut to the chase. These are great. These are an amazing formula. They are very pigmented. They are easy to use. They are easy to manipulate because in the videos you'll see in a second, you can put them on with your fingers, you can put them on with a brush. Because of the nature of the product though, I would not recommend putting these on with a natural haired fluffy brush unless you want almost no pigment from them. Let me show you really quickly before we get into each shade. So I'm going to use the shade I just put on the back of my hand with my finger. You saw how pigmented it is. If I take, this is a very soft brush, this is a squirrel brush, and I put it in here and I rub it around and then put it on my face, I get a very light, very non-pigmented, compared to this, look. Now, you may be the person who says, yeah, that's exactly what I want. I don't use a lot of blush. I am somebody who keeps my blush very light. So maybe you decide, hey, this is what I want. I want this extremely light, very soft, very demure, very mindful. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's TikTok. Of course it's TikTok. And you get this beautiful, soft, ethereal look with a natural hair brush. But I hear from people all the time that say their blushes, whatever they're buying, aren't pigmented enough. They don't give you the payoff for the price point. These absolutely do, just not with a natural hair brush. use your fingers or use a synthetic brush like I did today. This is a BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy. This is number A507. I'll have it linked in the description box. All right, so let's go get into me putting these on the face. So the first one is Beige Eclatant. You can see on the right side of my face, which will show as your left, it'll look at like it's on the left. When you're watching, I put it on with my fingers. I then tried the natural hair brush for you guys so you could see it didn't deposit really much of anything because the Beige Eclatant is the lightest of all the shades. And so basically gave up on that and then put it on with the synthetic brush on the other side of my face. Next one is Rose Ardent. Again, did the exact same thing with the application. This is definitely more of a rosy pink shade. I think it's very pretty. It's gonna work on most people. Anybody who likes a rose or pink kind of shade is gonna love it. I mean, it's beautiful. I think it has some luminescence. All these do, because again, it doesn't have the talc in it. It has the thing I can't pronounce. And that gives a more luminescent finish. But it can also look a little, that ingredient, from what I've seen in powder, it can look a little ashy on people with a deeper skin tone. I don't think it'll be a problem with these because these are very pigmented. If it was like a powder, like just a setting powder, I think we might have more of a problem. The next one is Rose Radiant. And the difference between Rose Radiant and Rose Ardent is the Rose Radiant is warmer. It almost has a peach kind of coral shade to it. I think, I don't know if it's my favorite yet. I've only been playing with these for like a couple of days. I could have gotten the video out sooner, guys, to be very honest with you, but I didn't. As a former Chanel makeup artist and somebody who's gone on and on and on about the old blushes, I just felt like I needed to give it more time to really give you a true comprehensive review. So next is and you can't buy them online yet anyway, so I was like, well, I don't know why I'm rushing. The next is the Granat Profound, which there is a color that is similar to this in the existing lineup, and I'll talk about that in a second. It is a very deep shade. It's the one that I just showed you a moment ago on the back of my hand and I have on my face. It is a almost berry type of shade, and I actually really like it when it's soft. It's almost the color that my face goes when I am cold, and I think it's a really good shade. Again, I know it looks a little scary in the pan and on the back of my hand. Yes, it's deep, but if you use a natural hair brush or your fingers, you'll be fine. The last one is the Rouge Franc, and the Rouge Franc is a red, but it's an orangey red. And I actually think that this is my least favorite, but I think it's because it reminds me a little of my rosacea. So I would use this one with a natural hair brush only because I don't want the strong pigment from this one. However, I think this is going to look fantastic on people with a deeper skin tone. Like, I think it's going to look just stunning. And, Chanel doesn't actually have the best history of creating blushes that work on deeper skin tones. So my hat's off to Chanel. Okay, so two things to say, right? Well, actually three things, but the first thing kind of has two parts. These are expensive, right? Because they're Chanel, but here's the thing. They're $52. Now, don't get me wrong, $52 is a lot of money for a blush. However, considering the price increases that we've seen at Chanel, I find it very interesting that these are $52 because most of the blushes that I have, and these are, the older blushes or the really old blushes or the the newer blushes are all 0.12 ounces because they come with a brush. These blushes are 0.28 ounces because they don't come with a brush, and they aren't meant to really be put on with a brush. That's why they don't come with a brush. They're meant to be more, user-friendly, use your fingers. And if you look up the price of a Chanel blush, just a regular Chanel blush, they're $52. So a regular Chanel blush is $52 for 0.12 ounces. And again, this is just my take. These are always my opinions, and my opinions alone. They're not very good. They're okay, and they're more than twice the amount at the same price. So either Chanel has recognized all of our comments about the ridiculousness of the price increases, or they recognize that if they priced it more than a regular blush, they were gonna be, you know, ridiculed. I don't know. But something sunk through, because like they priced it exactly the same for more product and, in my opinion, a better product. So I have to say, just overall, my thoughts on these blushes is that the price point is reasonable for what you're getting. My second point is the fragrance is strong. It's strong. Now, this is the rose scent of Old. I have some old, I'm going to show them today. I have old, and I mean old, more than the first two numbers in the year that they were created is a 19, not a 20. That old. They still smell exactly the same as the. So in the beginning, you can imagine what they smelled like. When you open these, you're gonna, the rose smell is gonna come through the packaging. If you're somebody who has a sensitivity to scent, or you suffer from migraines, or you hate the smell of roses, do not buy this product. I'm being very serious here because I suffer from migraines, and I know this scent has never bothered me. This particular scent has never bothered me because I worked for Chanel and I had it in my face all the time. Maybe I became desensitized to it. Maybe my body got used to it. I don't know. But I could see somebody who has allergies or real sensitivities to scent having a severe problem with this. So I'm, very serious when I say do not buy these if you have a problem with scents. I just think it's a waste of $52 because it's strong. And as they're sitting here, I can smell the roses, and they've been open for quite some time. So that's my take on the blushes. You can exit the video here. You now know that these are fantastic. One of the best products Chanel has come up with in 20 years. I still wish they'd come back with the old Chanel formula, but I have a feeling they can't, because I think the ingredients in that old formula would be problematic today. I'm gonna bet that's what it is. So this is the next best thing. These are excellent products. They're worth buying. Buy them if you want to buy some blush, and if you can deal with the price point of $52 and the scent is not a problem for you, these should be on your list if you're looking to buy blush. So that's it. You can exit now. There you go. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swatch all of these. And next to all of these, I'm going to swatch every other blush that I have in Chanel. That's a single blush, not the blush highlighters. I'm not going to do those because literally we'd be here all day. However, I do want to mention that there are many shades of Chanel blush that I do not own. There is a Rouge Profound. It's spelled P-R-O-F-O-N-D. This is spelled P-R-O-F-O-N-D as well. But my understanding is that the shades are different. I don't own it, so I can't tell you. But they are probably similar in shade. So if you have Rouge Profound, I'm gonna guess it's a similar color. Again, don't know that for sure, but the name is literally spelled exactly the same. I have to believe there's some similarities. The other one is Compact Malice, which I think it used to just be called Malice, but anyway. The Rouge Franc, I think, is similar to Malice. I think those two are the most similar. As we go through these shades, we're gonna see which ones they most look like, as in, do they look most like Mocha or Jersey, blah, 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 blah. But I think the other two, the ones in the middle, the rose shades, I think there's gonna be a lot of shades that look similar. Actually, I do have Malice. Interesting. Okay, I'll show you Malice next to it. So, I think those are shades that I think are similar. The shades that I don't own are Rouge Profound, Fuchsia Rosa, Quintessence, I don't think I have that one, Rose Rubin, Pink Explosion, Compact Malice I don't have. I have the old Malice. Rose Initial, and then the other ones I have. I have a lot of blush from Chanel. When you work for Chanel, even though I only worked for them for a couple of years, how many years? 3 years? Something like that. You pick up a lot of blush because it was the best thing that they had at the time. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna you're gonna see me cut out in between this so that we don't spend all day with me swatching. You'll just see the swatch when it appears and I'll tell you the name. Okay, these are the 5 new shades. We have Beige, Eclatante, we have Rose Ardent, we have Rose Radiant, we have Rouge Profound, and then we have Rouge Franc. Now, the one thing I'll say, like you notice on this swatch, I got a little piece under my nail and it is soft, so you can easily like pick up a piece of it. So just be aware of that. You just want to be careful when you're, swatching them. My nails will be very short very soon. My thumbnail was broken by my little pup accidentally, so we're gonna go short for a while, but I'll be able to swatch easier, so that'll be a good thing. Okay, so next what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the shades where I have the newest, which is the current formula, the previous formula, and then the really old formula. And if they are the same shades, I'm gonna put them together so you can see differences between the new, the old, and the oldest. So the first one I have is Brun Rouge, which is a new shade, so it doesn't exist in a former life. That is Brun Rouge. Then we have Ombre. Ombre also does not exist in a former life. I'm keeping the swatches small because I have to figure out how to put all of this on my arm. I don't know if that's gonna work. We're gonna try. The next do exist in former lives. So we have Rose Bronze. You'll also notice how light these are and a little patchy. Next we have Rose Ecrin. Rose Ecrin's over here because I want to show you the other 2 shades of Rose Bronze. And I didn't mean shades, I meant versions. Okay, so this is the older version of Rose Bronze, but it's not the super old one. You can tell the difference already. And then here is the very old one, which is in a tester because we basically got gratis back in the day. And yes, it still smells like rose. You can see how smooth and how luminous. So these 3 are all Rose Bronze, but you can see the difference in the shade and the luminosity, frankly. So this again is Rose Ecrin, and this is a very old Rose Ecrin. It's probably pronounced Ecrin or something like that, but you can see the difference in the opacity, the formula. It's just a completely different animal. So I don't have any more new formulas. All the rest will either be old or very old. So next we have Jersey. I do not have the New Jersey. I do not have Jersey in the new formula. How's that? But I do have it in the old formula and the very old formula. So here's Jersey. I'm gonna put Jersey up here because I feel like Jersey may be similar to this. We will find out, the Beige Eclatante. Now again, this is the old version and now the very old version. Okay, so here's the old version of Jersey. Here's the very old version of Jersey. I think you can see already, it is not like Beige Eclatante, which is this one here. Beige Eclatante is much warmer and more beige. The Jersey is much more like a pinkish brown. It's like one of the best shades ever created. And the old version, you can see, is still not as good as the really old version, but it's still better than the way the swatches of the new ones are. Next we have Rose Petal. Again, this is old and very old. The very old ones just swatch better, guys. They're a better formula. But I would say the color still isn't, I haven't come across something that's exactly like any of the new 5 shades yet. This one probably is the most like Rouge Ardent, but Rose Ardent is actually pinker. Next we have Golden Sun, which no longer exists. That's the old. Here is the very old. Old, very old. The old one is better. It's got a pinkish kind of, it's just beautiful. Golden Sun was beautiful. And a luminescence to it that you can't just recreate these days, but still nothing exactly like the new shades. Next three shades I have only in the old version. This is Orchid Rose, which also does not exist anymore. We have Alizane, and we have In Love, which does exist in the new formula. Again, nothing like the new shades. Now, the new shades are also different because they are that cream to powder formula. It's a different type of formula, but even in shade, they're really not, they're not the same. The shades that I have left are shades that don't exist anymore and are really old. So what I'll do is I'll put them over here and then we can just compare arms. So first is Reflex. Some of these have a very strong smell. And these swatches will not be as good because I am not as good left-handed. So I'll just make them a little bigger because they won't be as neat. Next we have Angel Rose, which is probably the most purple of the ones I have. Still not really anything like any of the new ones. We have Angelique. We have Malice. This is the one that I said it's now called Compact Malice. And it's probably the closest to the red shade, the Franc, but I don't know because this one is the older one. Again, it's pinker though. I don't really have a red shade. It's not a shade I ever was really interested in buying, I think. This is the Coup de Minute, which is like almost like a highlighter, but it does appear as blush if I put it on my face as like a really light, almost like lavendery blush. Here's Mocha. Best shade ever. Let's put it here. There's Mocha. We have Evening Beige. Again, one of my favorite shades. That's Evening Beige. Evening Beige is probably most like Beige Eclatant, but it's more luminescent and it's not as warm. It's got a cooler, almost more coral, whereas Beige Eclatant is like yellower, a little bit warmer. And the last two, we have Narcissus, which is a very, very Barbie pink. You can even see like how Barbie pink it is. Well, it's not really like any of the shades. And Rosewood. All right, so those are all the Chanel blushes that I have. And these are the new ones, these 5. I think you can see the difference even in the old blushes, which are pigmented, no doubt. The new formula, the cream to powder formula, is far more pigmented than even the blushes of old, because the way that it's formulated, you're able to get that depth from the creaminess of it that you can't really get from the powders. Although, like I said, the old powders are pretty pigmented. To wrap up, I think the shades are fairly unique for Chanel. There are ones that are similar, of course. You can go through and mark where, you know, if there's a shade that you like in here, figure out, go back to see what I said it was. I can actually run through them very, very quickly. Okay, so this is Beige Eclatant, Rouge Ardent. This is Rose Radiant. This is Granat Profound, and this is Rouge Franc. This is Brune, this one, Brune Rouge. This is Ombre. This is Rose Bronze, new, old, oldest. This is Rose Acrin, new, and then very old. These are Jersey. This is very old. This is old, and then this is very old. You can tell it's more formulated, more more pigmented. Then we have Rose Petal. We have Golden Sun, Old and Older, or the oldest. We have Orchid Rose. We have Alizane. We have In Love. And then over here, we have Reflex, Angel Rose, Angelique, Malice, Coupe de Minute, Mocha. No, Mocha's over here. Sorry, Mocha. And then we have Evening Beige, Narcisse, and Rosewood. Now I feel like I missed the ones over here, these two. I think those are the other, rose petals. Yeah, these are the rose petals. That's what they are. It's the old rose petal and then the really old rose petal. That's what those are. And that's it. That's all of them. To wrap up the look, I'm gonna take the beige Eclatante and put it on the eyes. Because, like I said, I think a synthetic brush works best with this formula. I'm gonna use the new Isom brush. This is the S33. This is part of Sophia's kit. If you haven't picked it up already, go pick it up. I think these will work similar to the Clé de Peau on the eyes because they have a similar feel to the Clé de Peau eyeshadows. Now, these aren't necessarily in eyeshadow shades, whatever that is, you know, because I mean, eyeshadow shades or whatever you want them to be, but they're not blues or greens, let's put it that way. But if you like something that is, you know, more of a monochromatic look with your blush, then these are gonna work great. And especially if you like, you know, these are more pinky, redder shades. If you like putting them on your eye, I think there are some people who can pull off, you know, red eyeshadow extremely well. I cannot. I don't look great with a red eyeshadow. But this beige, I think, works beautifully. No problems at all. And then if I take a shade like the Rose Radiant, which is also a little bit warmer than the Rose Ardent, and I just take it and put it into the crease to deepen it just a bit, you'll see that it works extremely well as eyeshadow and sets down exactly the same as it does on the cheeks. And it does have a similar feel to the Clé de Peau creamy eyeshadows, the single one. A little bit of Chanel mascara and we're done. So if you've made it this far in the video and you wanted to see all the Chanel blushes swatched, thanks so much for watching. And again, overall, these new blushes are absolutely fantastic. Price point, I think I want to be careful about how I phrase this, but reasonable given that the regular blushes are $52, you get about half as much. And let's face it, prices have been going through the roof, so Chanel seems to have been at least reasonable in pricing these. They're easy to use, they're beginner friendly, they can be very soft, they can be very pigmented, depending on whether you use your fingers, a synthetic brush, or a natural brush. I think they're unique in shade. I have a lot of blush from Chanel, and I don't have anything exactly like any of the shades. I think the formula is reminiscent of the Giorgio Armani Neo. I think they were Neo blushes, which I absolutely loved. They're not cream potted blushes. They have a creamy texture to them and are powdery, and you can feel a little bit of an indent, but they're not even like the single shadow that Chanel has that has that sparkle shade, like that pearlescent shade. That one dents even more than these do. These feel firmer than that, but they're very reminiscent of the Giorgio Armani's. That's what they're reminiscent of. So, you know, I was really devastated when those went away, when they discontinued those, because there wasn't anything else like on the market. Now there is. And Chanel's done a very good job with them. So I'm very pleased. They are not like the Chanels of old, but they do have the Chanel scent. So if you don't like scent, you're not gonna like these, especially if you don't like roses. But the pigment is very impressive, and I would say these are an absolutely yes from me. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear if you're picking them up. I'd love to hear which old shades you wish they would bring back. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you in another video really soon.